And now, the host of Quirks of Israel, Reverend Peter Faust.
Okay. Whoa. Woo. Hello, everyone. Welcome. So good to see you. We'll not be doing that run again. Good to see you. Hey, looking good. See the afro again. Good job. Yeah. Okay. Wow. Look at this. So good to be back in episode 9. We are like almost halfway through. Welcome. So nice to be here. Okay. All right. Well, let's get started. Welcome to episode 9 of the Quirks of Israel. I think that deserves an applause. Hey, episode 9. Today's episode is called Funny Experiences in Israel, Part 1, Swimming in Tel Aviv. Now, Tel Aviv is the sunny, thriving metropolis of Israel, located along the Mediterranean coastal plain north of Jaffa. Tel Aviv-Yafo is a city of about 435,000, but it is a sprawling city that incorporates many other cities that flow into one another, such as Ramat Gan or Herzliya. Now, all combined, the greater Tel Aviv area is around 3.8 million. Tel Aviv is bustling with skyscrapers and gorgeous beaches. It's one of Israel's modern cities, located next to the biblical port city of Jaffa, with the world's oldest active seaport. Jaffa possesses ancient Egyptian ruins, was around when King Solomon brought the cedars of Lebanon into port from King Hiram of Tyre, and then proceeded to ship them inland to be used in construction of the temple. Jaffa was also the port city the prophet Jonah sailed from, or the place where the early apostles of the first century would have departed to access the Roman world. Jaffa has also seen the likes of King Richard the Lionheart and Napoleon. During the modern Aliyah movement and the return of tens of thousands of Jewish people, Jaffa was predominantly an Arab coastal city. Today, there is a sizable Jewish population living there also, but in the 19th century, it was mostly Arab. So many of the newly arrived Jewish immigrants decided to wander on down the beach just north of Jaffa and purchased the sand dunes in 1909, where they drew lots for who would live there. Here's a classic picture right here. Okay, look at this. Here's the incredible founding citizens of Tel Aviv. And now look at that one. Here's Tel Aviv today. A miracle? I think so. Let's applause for miracles. Hey, we all like miracles. Tel Aviv is full of museums, cinemas, classical theater, art exhibits, beaches, parks, and beauty. Jaffa is ancient with its Crusader ruins and narrow alleys with artists' flats, cafes, and boutique shops above the busy fishing wharf where boats anchor and moor in the harbor. And then you have the fast-paced modern city of Tel Aviv, Israel's city that never sleeps. Now, if you like the beach, the place to be is Gordon's Beach, which is a beautiful stretch of sand where people lie in the sun, eat ice cream, play matkot, the never-ending paddle game, which is actually quite fun. Anyway, it's a paradise beach life, and everyone there knows it. You see people swimming, surfing, avoiding jellyfish, working on their tan, while jetliners fly overhead on their way to land at Ben Gurion. There is a boardwalk stretching the full length of the beach, from Jaffa all along the Tel Aviv beaches, and this will be full of people jogging, cycling, or just out for a stroll. Stay classy, Tel Aviv. It is in this environment that in 2004, I was talked into trying to learn how to swim. You heard me correctly, learning how to swim. You see, I was a volunteer in the Bridges for Peace home repair program, and I had befriended a couple of other young adult volunteers like me. A few of them from South Africa, 2 Americans, and an Aussie. Now, we had spoken of a beach day as a group, but I had protested saying I couldn't really swim. One of the South African chaps didn't believe me, as he thought everyone could swim. Okay, but I did agree to go at the behest of the Australian, who was convinced she could give me some swimming instructions once we were in the water, as she had once been a lifeguard, okay? I think that deserves applause. We love our lifeguards. They save people's lives and maybe prevent other people who can't swim from going into the water. We took a cheroot, or a shuttle van, from Jerusalem, arrived in Tel Aviv in the mid-morning hours, and strolled down to the beach. We hadn't been there for more than 20 minutes before someone suggested we go into the water. I cautiously entered with all eyes on me and wanted to appear as though I was naturally brave and could easily best the rising and crashing waves of the roaring Mediterranean Sea. Now, as an interjection, if you are someone who doesn't know how to swim, okay, I recommend a quiet pool to learn in, maybe the shallow end, with a swimming teacher of some kind, not a highly active sea with surfers and jellyfish around, okay? But hey, it was a beautiful day and the water was luxurious. So back to the story. Basically, by the time I found myself in water above my waist, the Aussie, and we'll just call her the Aussie, gave me a crash course on how to float. I don't know why we started with floating in a roaring sea. Probably should have started in the quiet pool, but I promptly, started to float on my back. Her soothing voice beside me, giving me tips and complimenting my progress. In that moment, I remember thinking, this isn't so bad. This is kind of nice. The water is so soothing and gentle. I'm floating. Wow. I was beginning to tire and two things happened. I called out her name, suggesting we go back to the beach, and brought my legs down to plant them on the sandy bottom. But there was no bottom. Staring with a cringe at the distant shore and wiggling my pathetic legs in the water, I automatically tried to do something that resembled treading water. I realized this was not good. This was not good. In fact, it was bad. And like a blubbering idiot, I proceeded to make my way to the shore. Not with some impressive breaststroke. Remember, I can't swim, but with a pathetic doggy paddle. I was like the book, The Little Engine That Could, that I read to my children. I think I can, I think I can, I think I can. I tried to remain calm and positive, maybe admiring the beautiful sunshine and the beach that wasn't getting any closer. But deep down I thought, what have I done? You see, I had been caught in an undercurrent of sorts where two waves meet and then were drawn backwards, so whatever progress I made, I was simply being dragged back. Not good. I remember seeing my friends a ways out, closer to the beach, and they took notice, recognizing my plight. One of them, Hero, swam to my rescue and tried to tug me along, but I was not a good enough swimmer to break out of the undercurrent and the waves which were pretty much blinding me. And then it happened. On the horizon were two men standing on a paddleboard, and they were power rowing towards me with long paddles. These guys were impressive. I have to hand it to them. They looked like Navy SEALs, Green Berets, commandos, or some sort of Iron Man competitors, but they were steering straight for my head. I remember thinking, great. I'm on the verge of drowning, and these two show-offs are coming at me with their impressive rowing skills and good looks. Now I tried with annoyance to doggy paddle out of the way with angry mutterings until these two guys drew near and the lead man bent down, shouted at me, and extended his hand. Let's hear it again for people that save other people that shouldn't be in the water. Okay. In that moment, all time stopped. Suddenly, with embarrassment, I realized these two chaps had come to save me. They were lifeguards. That fleeting embarrassment didn't last long as I thankfully took the man's hand and was hauled out of the water and onto their board like a flapping fish, gasping to breathe. The next moments were incredibly awkward as the crash of waves, the thundering of the water, and the shouting of Hebrew from the two men at the flopping fish on their board resounded in a desperate attempt not to capsize. Finally, "Get on your belly!" rang out loud and true, and with one of the man's knees pinning me down between my shoulder blades, we cruised across the water and skimmed professionally through the shallows with my legs and arms straight out in all directions in a spread eagle. With my heart pounding, I could see looks of concern on the faces of every beachgoer. Some even gave me pitiful, sad looks, covering their mouths like that, and probably thinking, oh, That poor boy. When I climbed off the board, the two macho Navy SEAL lifeguards looked at me and smiled. One said, "You okay, my friend?" I surveyed the damage. My knees skinned and bloody and my elbows in a similar state. The lifeguard kindly pointed up the beach to a lifeguard tower and said, "You go see him." There coming down from the lifeguard tower was Goliath of Gath, a mighty strong man, thick like an oak and tough like an ox. He descended with a grimace and I gulped, thinking to myself, I might have survived the waters, but this man will certainly deport me back to Canada for learning how to float in the Mediterranean Sea while not even knowing how to swim. I trotted up the beach, trying to restore my feeling in my numb legs. Goliath ended up being a warm-hearted man and said, "You okay?" My reply, "I need some bandages." He pointed up the beach to a little building. "That's the hospital. Go there, my friend." I walked across the hot sand, thanking God for a second chance at life. On the other hand, my friends I had come to Tel Aviv with, totally dead to me. I entered the little building marked with a red Star of David, which is the symbol for Magen David Adom, basically the Red Cross version for Israel. There was a man in there smoking. He looked at me with a bewildered expression. "Why are you here, my friend?" I shrugged. "I need bandages." He shook his head. "We have no bandages." With a temporary expression of sarcastic rage, more of like an explosion, I said, "Of course you wouldn't have any bandages. You're only a hospital." He probably thought I was trying to be funny and handed me paper towel. I stuck 4 pieces on my body, 1 on each knee and 1 on each elbow, and I grumpily trudged back to my beach chair to salvage whatever was left of the day. A few moments later, my South African friend, the one who had mocked me, believing that everyone could swim, slowly and apologetically walked over to me. Kneeling by my side in the sand, he gazed at me with a broken, sad face and said quietly, "My goodness, you really can't swim." Israel is quirky, okay? Join me on episode 10 of the Quirks of Israel as I take you through funny experiences in Israel, part 2, riding the bus. Cheers and shalom.